What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a look at the top 10 collectible games right now. You see, ICV2 have done their list as they tend to do, and we should have got to it a couple of weeks ago, but we have been very, very busy. We are getting to it now. And this is very, very important, because there are some changes here that we were expecting that are making things make a whole lot more sense. Now, at the top end of the list, and do remember ICV2, and they do a great job with this, they split it into mass channel and hobby channel, i.e. in hobby shops, in mass market retailers, etc. And then there's an overall ranking as well, so do please bear that in mind. And what we see here is exactly what we would expect at the top end. In terms of the hobby channel, it's Magic 1, Pokemon 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! 3, as it has been for a long time. In terms of the mass channel, it's Pokemon 1, Magic 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! 3. But in terms of overall, it's Pokemon 1, Magic 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! 3. And this is the way it has been for a while, and the way it's going to be for a while. Magic is the king of the hobby channel, has been for a while. Now, last time round, and remember, the list isn't perfect, right? And nobody's doing a better list than ICV2 at the moment, which is why we use their list when we discuss this on the channel. But their list isn't perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect list. We're doing the best we can with the information we've got. But last time round, Pokemon actually jumped up to number 1 in the hobby channel. It's an exception. It's not the rule. It's not what we're imagining is going to be the case moving forward. Magic is number 1 in hobby. Pokemon is number 1 in mass, and Pokemon is number 1 overall. And I've made this point before, but I do think it bears repeating again. No, it's not particularly close. It's not like Pokemon and Magic are neck and neck, and Pokemon's just a tiny bit ahead for the overall crown. No. You can make whatever arguments you like about player base and tournament size and things of that nature, but we're looking at sales here, which is the only real objective measurement we've got to compare trading card games. Because even if you look at tournament results, which tournaments are you looking at? Are you counting casual play? How do you measure people playing in their homes, etc.? It's basically impossible, right? The only objective measure we've got for looking at which is the most successful card game, the only measure we've got is sales, and Pokemon is number 1 by a mile, and no, it's not particularly close. But this is to be expected. So that's everything we would expect right now. Now, D&D Icons of the Realms is on the list because it's a collectible game, it's a miniatures game. We're not worried about that. That's not our deal here, okay? That's not what we're going to be talking about. Weiss Schwarz in at number 5 in both overall and hobby channel. I don't really get Weiss Schwarz, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a game that I've not followed as closely as I should have done in years past. And look, I've done some videos on this channel about it. I've shown you the Weiss Schwarz Pixar set, which I do absolutely intend picking some stuff up. I mean, I've already picked up the starter decks, but I do intend picking up some booster boxes of that as well when I get the opportunity, because that would be absolutely amazing. It looks like a really cool set. I've opened on this channel some booster boxes of the Weiss Schwarz Marvel set, although it is worth pointing out that both the Marvel set and the Pixar set, as it stands at the moment at least, do appear to be Japan only and I've not seen them anywhere else, and I've not seen any hint that they're coming out over here, and I wouldn't expect them to at this stage. It does seem like they're not coming out. But Weiss Schwarz has a lot of card games. Well, it's the same card game, but it's got a lot of sets covering a lot of different properties, and it just seems to appeal to a huge amount of people, honestly, and it's doing very, very well. Now, the one which I have been expecting, Digimon has jumped up to number 6 and has jumped ahead of Flesh and Blood. And this is something I've been expecting to happen. I've told you in previous videos that I expected this to happen. And the deal is really simple. Flesh and Blood is clearly a very good game. It is clearly a game that has got itself a bunch of fans. It came out of the gate really hot with tournaments and prize money and things of that nature. But it's a brand new game that's not based on a license. And you will notice that this list is absolutely dominated by licensed games, and then you got things like Magic, which, you know, it's been around forever. But licensed games dominate in the TCG space. That's just the way it is. Weiss Schwarz is based on a whole bunch of different licenses. Digimon has a very strong license behind it. Flesh and Blood doesn't. Flesh and Blood is not based on a big recognizable license. And I think Flesh and Blood has done absolutely phenomenally for what it is. But that being at number 5 on the previous list, while Digimon was languishing at number 8, that never really made sense to me. That didn't seem like it was going to last, and it hasn't lasted. And I wouldn't expect it to. I don't think Digimon and Flesh and Blood are going to be leapfrogging each other for the next few years. I think Digimon is just going to be the most successful game. And I do think Digimon has a real chance to jump ahead of Weiss Schwarz and, you know, get up to the 4th place in terms of TCG. In terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus Digimon, I think Digimon's got a way to go yet. Although do remember there was that very brief period where Keyforge actually managed to kind of jump over Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was kind of amazing. But it didn't last. It was like one list and then it was done. You know, Keyforge is wonderful, and you know I've got me a whole bunch of love for Keyforge, but that was never going to last, ladies and gentlemen. I would love it if it had. Was never going to last. Digimon is absolutely crushing. It is selling huge numbers in Japan and over here. And I know that because it's a successful game that's not been going that long, it's now super trendy to go blah, blah, blah. And that's why Digimon's dying. No, it's not. It's really not. Digimon is crushing right now. It is doing phenomenally. And this was always expected. Flesh and Blood is hanging around nicely. But Flesh and Blood is a brand new game, not based on a recognizable license. That was always going to be a big challenge. It's doing phenomenally. Because bearing in mind, you know, it's Legend Story Studios. That is not a studio. You're not talking about a Bandai or a Bushiroad or a Wizards of the Coast who are used to doing these big games. So they're doing phenomenally for what they are. Now, Cardfight Vanguard is just kind of clinging on at number 8. And Bushiroad know what they're doing here, right? Because your average casual TCG fan is going to know Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and they might recognize Digimon as a property. Most of your casual card game fans are not going to realize that Weiss Schwarz and Vanguard are doing quite as well. Bushiroad is crushing it. But the one that makes me really happy here, in at number 9, we've got the debut of My Hero Academia. Now, I didn't know what to think about this. Now, I did a video about this when it was first revealed, and I think there are going to be some other, you know, a bit of a tease here. I do think there's going to be some other videos for My Hero Academia coming in the not too distant future. It's a card game I'm looking into, put it that way. It's doing way better than expected. Bearing in mind, you know, an example I use quite a lot in these videos, I tell you about the Final Fantasy trading card game. It is a successful game that's been going for years, sells enough to keep rolling, but it's never on the top 10 list. And yet it's a successful game that keeps rolling along. So when My Hero Academia comes up and jumps in at number 9, that's a big deal. You know, Jasco have been going for a while now. They're a very good company to make a lot of very cool games, but it's the universe's system. And that is not usually in this top 10 list. So the fact that My Hero Academia has come along and immediately jumped into this list, make no mistake about it, that's a really, really big deal. And this is something we should all be pretty gosh darned excited about. This is extremely cool. And this is another card game based on a very big experienced license. And this is something to keep an eye on. Now, as I'm going to tell you in a minute, there is more competition coming. We'll get there. But right now, My Hero Academia coming in on this list at all is a pretty big deal. We don't usually see Jasco on the list. We don't see Universes on the list. So a new card game from that company coming in on the list, that is a big deal. Look out for this one. And then you got Dragon Ball Super coming in at number 10. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not worried about Dragon Ball Super like that. But Dragon Ball Super has been falling down the list. And it's not just that it's been falling down the list, it's Bandai, and frankly, Bandai have got other things to think about. We see that Digimon is coming in here at number 6, and that is going up and doing very well. And then we've got One Piece, which is launching at the end of this year. And One Piece is a phenomenally popular anime. And that card game looks to be doing quite well. And the difference between Digimon and One Piece and Dragon Ball is Digimon and One Piece are games that Bandai is running concurrently in both Japan and the West. And they're running it really, really successfully. Dragon Ball is Western only. And it's not doing as well. Now, it's been around for a little while longer, I admit. But it was number 10 on the last list. And it's number 10 on this list. And quite frankly, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not telling you that Dragon Ball's on the way out. But I am telling you that Dragon Ball has waned in popularity a bit. And I'm telling you that I fully expect it in the next 6 months to a year to be Bandai's third most successful game after Digimon and One Piece, and the only one of the three that's not also selling in Japan. So do bear this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Dragon Ball's fine. Dragon Ball's going nowhere. It's a top 10 game. Bearing in mind I've told you there are games like Final Fantasy that just aren't on the list and are doing just fine. But this is one to, I suppose the way I'm going to phrase it is, keep an eye on it. That's what I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye on it. Because there is a possibility that Dragon Ball could be phased out in the next couple of years because Bandai have got these other games that I do think are going to be more successful. But that is pure speculation based on the fact that Dragon Ball is falling down the list. So moving forward, look out for One Piece coming in. I do think My Hero Academia is one to watch. That is super interesting to me. And I do think Digimon could climb and Flesh and Blood could fall. They're my predictions, but now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these games you played. Tell me which of these games you're excited about. Tell me, quite frankly, anything you want to tell me. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about a whole bunch of these card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord and chat with us, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.